Welcome along to EXFL Tier 2 Season X. We are here for round 7 out of 22, the Spanish Grand Prix at Barcelona, Catalonia. We've got 16 drivers, awaiting one more to join in quali to make 17. And the qualifying has begun here in Spain. 6 rounds already in. We've seen 5 different winners, only one repeat. Are we in for a 6th? We'll find out after 18 minutes of qualifying. 33 lap race, one of the races that has the most amount of laps on the calendar. And we've got JJ Francis in the Mercedes, promoted full time now to that team. We've got Dello once again in the Sauber. Frosty out on track on the mediums in the Haas. What seems to be a sunny qualifying. There shouldn't be any threat of rain. As for the race, don't know yet. No one said anything, so I'm going to assume it's dry as well. We got Enric, EXFL's newest Tier 2 race winner, who won last time out in Imola in amazing fashion. Very cool, calm and calculated. A controlled race from him. He exits the pit lane now. Sam L, the only driver to win more than one race this season. 2 wins to his name. Definitely in the championship fight, as he's now 3rd in the standings. 11 points. He trails the leader. Adam, who's had a pretty good first few races in Tier 2. Saudi and Imola the last 2 weeks, finishing both in the points. He'll be hoping to continue that and get higher up. We got Ridion, who made one of the brilliant and best comebacks from P19 on the grid last week to finish on the podium in P3. It's going to be one of the all-time great drives, and he'll be going into Spain hoping to get some more points on the board. Josh Hewitt, also one of the contenders, there's these, as he is pretty good around here in Spain, but usually in the wet he delivers really well. But in the dry, we'll see how he can favour on those terms. Drifting, championship leader then. Oh, he's on the wets. That's a new one. Usually you see the inters. But Drifting leads the World Championship like he has done for every single round this season. His consistency has managed to keep him at the front. And I think behind him, he's got 2nd in the championship, Eggy. Sven, who's also been very consistent so far, getting that P2 last time out in Imola. Obviously had that incident, as there's these, he's in his car now. The Red Bull. He'll be hoping for maybe another strong result like Japan, as Josh Hewitt sets the first lap. So Eggy, still searching for that first win as he approaches nearly 40 races in the tier. I'm sure it's going to come very soon. We've got Christian, who's just about to finish a lap. I think he's been pointing us for a few races in a row now, but he goes on to provisional pole. So we'll see what he can deliver in this race. I think penalties are also going to be an issue for quite a lot of drivers. Not as bad as Imola. Definitely not as bad to break the race director like last week. And Bramley at Lang, I should mention. Tier 2 Season 6 World Champion is back in the Williams this time round. 37 races, also Ferrari. And now he's gone to Williams, just like Sainz, at Spain as well. So we'll see what he can do. Sam L, he's on the mediums. So only 4/10 off. Obviously, I think this is the first time ever we have 2 Tier 2 World Champions racing at the same time. Obviously, last season we did have Gekkeberg and Seb, who became champion right at the end. But Gekkeberg never did a race when Seb was champion. So there was still only one. But today, we have 2 World Champions racing, 5 and 6. And cousins as well. So that should be interesting. Enric goes 2nd as well. So Bram showing some good pace downright. But then again, like we usually say with Tier 2, if they're too quick, then something might need to be done. Like Marine a couple of weeks ago. Who else? Dello, Thieves, Adam, Ridion, Drifting. Yonder. Some connection issues last week. Hindered his race, running up in the points. Could have been a podium. But disconnects ended him up with just 1 point at the end. He did join before the checkered flag, so he didn't get disqualified. He'll be hoping for another top 5 like every other race he's been in. Adam, he'll be hoping for his first points in the Alpine. Stelios obviously had that win back in China, and only a P9 elsewhere, and some other finishes outside the top 10 and DNFs follow. He'll be hoping for another good result. And Chubster, who's also been very consistent this season, to definitely be winning a shout as well. So there's about 4 or 5 challengers at the moment, as we're already 1/3 of the way done with qualifying. We've got Bram then still over 3 tenths ahead of Enric, who's just in front of Sam. Remember, Sam is on the mediums, so he'll definitely challenge Bram. Christian's still up there with the exact same time as Eggy, as Chubster now goes P2. A very nice lap from the Ferrari. Ferrari, of course, leading the World Championship ahead of Aston Martin. Of course, Warren is probably letting the team down a little bit in that sense because he's not racing today again. Drifting, obviously, leading the championship has helped Aston to be within only 25 points of the Scuderia. Going off those Eggy, just avoiding people. Dello on an outlap on the softs. Thies about to complete a lap around the final corner. His teammate's currently third with a 1:30. Crosses the line and makes it. Tier 2 world champion front row lockout at the moment. Cousins, Bram and Thies 1 and 2. Very nice lap from the Red Bull. Of course, these two are teammates for Ferrari back in Season 5 when Thies won the World Championship. And it's hard to believe 2.5 years later, these two are still delivering moments like that. That is really nice to see. But who can challenge is probably the bigger question. Dello begins his lap then. Right, heading down into turn 1. Probably the heaviest braking zone of the track. Tie into 1, making sure to avoid those yellow curbs on the inside, but he's messed up turn 2 and will have to go again. Frosty Life, P9 improves by a few tenths on the mediums, just like Josh. And we'll see what Josh can do then. The other Sauber. So DRS on, clocking 200 mile an hour over as you enter turn 1. Heavy braking zone, like I said, so easy to mess up, go wide or hit the inside curbs. He's taken it very nicely indeed through turn 2, flat as you avoid the curb. Now around turn 3, easily flat in these kind of cars, keeping to the inside line to shave off those thousandths. Another heavy braking into turn 4 to finish the first sector, up by a tenth, keeping it tight to the inside to once again shave off any time. Into turn 5, fast and flowing, easy to lock up. But he's taking that very nicely. Power on the apex, on the exit, and heading into what's not really a chicane, but it's a left-right kink, avoiding the sausage curb. Once again, flat through here, maybe a slight lift, maybe in the race. DRS open to finish the middle sector. One of the very few overtaking chances. He's up by nearly a whole second here. This is a great lap from Josh Hewitt. Just a few corners to go now through the tight and twisty bits. Getting on the curbs, so easy to lose the rear end, but he's kept the traction through the final couple corners, avoiding any sort of glitch of the bump. Now around the final few corners, and DRS will approach you, and so will the line. Across the line for Josh Hewitt. It's a 1 minute 12.2 to put himself back on provisional pole. 4 tenths clear Bram, and now we'll see what the likes of Sam can do, who's half a second up, who's only 8 tenths off Delta. We'll see how close he can get to Josh Hewitt. 2 corners to go on the newly revamped part of the track like we saw a year ago. And across the line for Sam. DRS open. Can he beat Josh's time? Across the line, it's a 12.5 to put himself 3 tenths off. Sam, who usually has taken pole by that margin, is lacking at the moment, but it's still the front row. We've got 2 Ferraris, 2 Red Bulls, 1 Williams, and 1 Sauber as the top 6 at the moment. Enric's going quicker though. 7 tenths off the pace, 4 tenths up. So this can definitely challenge for the front row. But that is we saw that in full fashion. That was a brilliant lap from Josh Hewitt as we have passed the halfway stage of the session. Round the final corner for Enric then on the second run. Let's see what he can deliver. DRS open, doesn't take as wide of a line as Sam, and for that goes P3. 11 thousandths off Sam, so he lost some time in the last sector. But it's very close between those two. I'm sure Bram will go again. Adam currently 7th, good effort. Christian is still 8th, which is great to see. Eggy down in 9th, drifting 12th, obviously, on the wets or the inters. Stelios now goes P2. That came out of nowhere a bit, but great lap from him. Showing he's right in the fight as well. So, Eggy, I think, beginning a lap. And drifting just in front of him. So the top two in the championship going at it now. Yonder still in the pit lane, the only one to not set a time. Dello, 35 seconds off the pace. So that must have been a failed lap. Adam just in front of the pair of them. Frosty and JJ on out laps, so they'll begin their laps. Ridian also, P11 at the moment. A little bit of a wiggle through turn 3. A 10th down for Eggy. Drifting will obviously be up on his time. It's not really too difficult to not invalidate on this track. Maybe there is a chance through the turn 2 exit maybe. And at the end of this straight as well, if you go too deep. You can see Eggy closing in on Drifting a little bit there. I don't know if Drifting's made a mistake, but Eggy showing some good pace, but he's still down on his time. Drifting did report he is a bit unwell at the moment, so the championship leader showing struggles. And if he does finish this lap, he might give Eggy a bit of slipstream, to be fair. And Eggy level on with his time with Christian, so he might improve, coming across the line to go P8. So he did improve. 10th down in the first, managed to find a 10th and a half to put himself 8th, with a little bit of slipstream as well from his rival. But yeah, Drifting, yeah, really showing some struggles here. He may even retire it during the race at the halfway stage. So it's just nice to see him racing as a whole, and hopefully he gets better. Top 5 still on the pits then. Looks like Thieves is going again, but he's 7/10ths down. He may have made a mistake somewhere. Chubster, 34 thousandths down in the first sector. They're really pushing their hearts out here, trying to find any increment of speed and pace through the middle sector. Then has he improved his time? We'll see at the braking zone. He's up by a 10th and a half, which could get him potentially into the top 5. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2. And then there's Josh Hewitt, who's just got the edge over people in qualifying at the moment. And luckily that curb has not claimed anyone yet, so that's good. So around the final corner for Chubster. Just over 5 minutes to go in the session. Goes over the line to finish 6th. Found 2/10ths in the end. 8 thousandths off Bram, who's still done only the one lap. So we'll see what he can do at the end. Eggy just lacking a bit of pace at the moment because he's over nearly 2/10ths off the next car. But it's still a very close field. As across the line for Ridian now to go P8. So he's now lacking 2/10ths off the next one. Ridian, who typically does better starting outside the top 10 than in it. As Francis goes P12 with that lap, 1.2 off. Frosty 1.3, but I think he did that on the mediums. Dello now beginning his lap. Can he do turn 2 properly this time? Going onto the curb, into turn 1, misses the apex slightly, goes over turn 2, doesn't lose it this time, and now can continue his lap. Round turn 3. I think that's the Mercedes of Francis in front of him. Gets out of the way. Heading into turn 4 now, up by quite a bit. Taking the more wider line. Into turn 5, heavy braking. Little lock up, makes him go a tad bit wide, but he's still gaining momentum. Through 6 and 7. That's a little bit wide, and somehow he didn't invalidate. He may have slowed down enough to keep it valid. DRS open, and that's another place where you could invalid on the exit. As obviously he's up by half a minute. Little bit of a slide, just trying to get the power on. Struggling on this lap for Dello, as Yonder does complete a lap, 12 seconds off. Once again, another slide from Dello, really trying to push the limits here. He's got 4 minutes left. This may be his last run, but I'm sure he can get back in the pits. It is a short lap after all. DRS open for Dello across the line. It's only P14 at the moment. A bit of an untidy lap there, but hopefully he can go again. Right, Yonder up by 2/10ths in the first set to them. That is a bit wide though for the McLaren. The only wait, no, Christian of course. Okay, the only one who hasn't really set a proper lap time yet. Well, he's got 3.5 minutes to do so, and he's currently on one. Sliding through the exit, DRS open through the middle sector. Obviously up by 10 seconds now. He's got one car in front of him. I think that's Ridian. No, it's not. It's Bram. So around the final couple corners for Yonder. 37 points to his name, I think, at the moment. Where the championship leader's on 75, so he's got half of what he has. Anyway, across the line for the McLaren. It's a 1 minute 12.7 to put himself into the top 7. So a solid lap from Yonder there. Do not know if that's his qualifying done. It's going to be close if he can get back into the pits. And speaking of the pits, that's where the top guys are starting to exit from. Enric and Bram have about to begin and have began their what looks to be final run. Bram into the first sector has found a third of a tenth from the first sector. 4/10 down. Remember, his lap was his banker. So let's see what Bram can find through the middle sector. It's going to be close. It's going to take a lap, quite the lap to beat Josh Hewitts, and he could go even quicker. That's a slide and a bit from Bram through the middle sector. And it looks like he's backed off. So he'll try and go again, but he's already kind of worn those tyres a bit on the first half of the lap. So what about Enric? Didn't quite see... Okay, he's up by 19 thousandths in the first sector. Hope everyone who's watching is enjoying quali so far. Looking forward to the race. Still no message if it's going to be wet or dry. I'm going to assume dry because no one's, screamed it's raining. But Enric's up by a tenth. And that could definitely get him on the front row. He started second last time out and won the race. So let's see what he can do this time round. Stelios and Josh still on their outlap. Sam beginning his final run. Enric round the final corner then. DRS open, flashing, out of battery. Where is he going to be across the line? It's P3 for Enric. He improves slightly, and that puts him ahead of Sam, who's now beginning his lap. 3 poles to his name. 3 out of 6, so he's taken half the poles this season. Can he make it a 4th? He's up by a tenth and a bit in the first sector. Sam giving it absolutely everything on the limit. Round turn 4 and into turn 5, hugging the inside line, getting on the power, trying to find any bit of momentum he can from his previous run. Now he's got to go full attack. Doesn't quite hit the apex there, but gets the momentum and run out of the exit to make sure he goes full flat here. Avoids any sort of warning. DRS open. And he'll finish the second sector split. Got to find nearly 3/10. And he has found over 3/10. Sam trying to challenge Josh, who I think is just slightly down in his first sector, but we're talking fractions here. It's going to be so close. Round the final couple corners for Sam then, as Bram goes P3 with his extra lap he did. Chubster down by 10th. His teammate, though, round the final corner, looking to make it 4 out of 7. Sam L on pole position currently by nearly 2/10. He really dig deep for that one, and he has found himself at the front again. And Josh Hewitt down by 12 thousandths. He's going to need a monster of a last sector, but he's getting a bit of slipstream as drifting goes third. That's really crucial. Josh across the line. Can he get back on pole? No! He improves but misses out. 64 thousandths by the end. Even with a bit of tow from his teammate, it's not quite enough. Sam L is on pole position at the moment ahead of Josh and drifting third. Stelios across the line. Goes on to the front row. Just misses out by half a tenth. So close between the top 3. And can anyone else challenge? What about Thies? He's down in 12th at the moment, up by 35 thousandths. Now make that 16 thousandths. Eggy 12th, the 2 Haas cars, 10th and 11th. Ridian 9th, Chubbs to 8th. What about Yonder? He's slowed down. Don't know if Bram's definitely not going again, so I think it's just Thies left. Christian's crossed the line as well. Goes P8. McLaren 4th row. Fair enough. Thies round the final corner. An incident has occurred between him and Adam. And Thies gets a 5-place grid penalty for it and will start the race from the back. Don't know what Adam was doing there. That's really unfortunate. But yeah, Sam L. It's a 4th pole of the season for the Ferrari driver. Stelios gets on the front row with a great lap. Josh Hewitt just missed out with 3rd. And yeah, we're just waiting on Yonder. But that is the grid then. These won't be too happy with that. Well, that's definitely the closest qualifying of the season so far. And I can't see the thing for some reason. I mean, I've got a photo of the grid anyway, but, you know, it'd be nice to see game. Or not, that's fine. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we don't go. Never mind. Wait, so Adam goes into the pit lane, misses it, and rejoins the track in front of Thieves. Ah. Oh. I mean, Thieves was only up by a slight amount. Don't really know how much he found in the last set, if he was even up. He was 12th, so maybe he could have just gotten into the top 10. But now he's got it all to do from 17th. Would have been 14th anyway. But, yeah. It's going to be a comeback drive for the Red Bull. As for the rest, it's a vast array of soft and medium compounds for the start. These on the softs at the moment, looking to gain some ground. Frosty. It looks like both teammates are quite near one another. We've got the two McLarens, the two Haas cars, the two Mercedes. We've got Sauber 15th and 3rd. Ferrari 1st and 9th. Red Bull 6th and 17th. One Aston, one Williams 5th and 10th as well. One Aston, Alpine 16th and 2nd. And then, yeah, I think one Aston. Anyway, formation lap begins. For the Spanish Grand Prix, should be dry. For the race, 33 laps ahead of us. We know Spain can always deliver quite the fun one. Let's have a look at tyres. Interesting. Right, Stelios and Bram starting on the softs inside the top 10. They're going to hope to make up some ground. So watch for a fast-starting blue car towards the inside or outside. Enric already disqualified for some reason. Anyway, that's the top 10. Mediums for the rest. Adam starting on the hards, so he's going to try and go long. Obviously, this is Tier 2, and there's going to be a lot. Well, there's always expected to be at least a safety car. Frosty also starting on the softs, as well as these. The two Red Bulls, for some reason, are now DSQ. Didn't see what happened there. Eggy starting down in 13th when his rival is up in 4th at the moment. So he's going to really need to make a good start. His teammate right behind him, Dello 15th on the mediums, Adam on the mediums. For some reason, it's turned forward and slowed down. And yeah, Thieves on the softs. Apparently it's going to rain, says Will. Well, we'll just keep an eye on those clouds. I mean, to the right, you can see it's a bit cloudy. To the left, sunny. So we'll see what happens. The weather always serves up an interesting one. In terms of rain in Tier 2 this season, we actually haven't had that much. We obviously had Imola quali, where it rained at the end, so it was cut short. But besides that, there really hasn't been much. So an actual wet race would be very interesting. I believe drifting's in front of 3rd and 4th on the grid. Anyway, we'll see, as the two Red Bulls are already parked. We'll see how close they can get in terms of meters to their grid spot. And we see Scotty and Adam as well, also on the grid. I haven't really seen any of the top guys get disqualified from their starting grid slot. Stelios parks up. Same with Josh. And so will the rest follow. And here we go then. It's round 7 of 22. It's the Spanish Grand Prix at Catalonia. Barcelona. As the 5 lights come on. And away we go here in Barcelona. Samuel leads from Stelios and Josh Hewitt trying to squeeze it on the pair of them. But Stelios on the softs has the traction to take the lead into turn 1. Wheel to wheel between the Alpine and the Ferrari. And Stelios holds his line, drifting to the inside. Nearly makes contact with Josh Hewitt as they all seem to be facing forward. As Adam at the back and Thieves. As Adam gets disqualified for receiving too many penalties somehow. Stelios leads then from Sam. Josh, drifting, Bram, they stay as they are. Enric, yonder. JJ Francis, what a start to 8th already as Christian and Frosty are fighting. As Ridian's lost places down to 12th, fighting with Eggy. Bram and drifting, now wheel to wheel. Bram now gets the place on the softs once again. Those tyres helping those on the softs gain some ground. But Stelios, a brilliant launch from him, and he's in the lead. Ahead of Sam and Josh found out the top 3. Do not know what happened with Adam at the start there. For some reason he got disqualified. As the other Adam going off there. Also a dreadful start for him on the hards. And Thieves also maybe had an incident with him. So Stelios, 1.3 seconds already ahead of Sam. He has left the field on those softs. He's loving it at the moment. And now round the final couple corners. Biggest gainer at the moment. Yeah, it's got to be JJ Francis. 6 places on the opening lap. Stelios finishes the first lap with probably one of the biggest leads you've ever seen after a first lap. Stelios 1.5 seconds ahead of Sam L. Under pressure from Josh, but stays behind for now. So Bram at 1 place, drifting. Enric yonder stay where they are. JJ Francis, once again, a blinding start ahead of Frosty Life, who's also made up ground. Christian, Chubster and Ridian has all lost 2 places. Eggy stayed where he is. Dello at 1, Thieves up 2, but it's still got a lot of work to do. And Adam on those hards, really struggling. So I think the main fight is for second. Josh versus Sam. We've seen this in Bahrain. We're seeing it in Spain. That is a lovely switchback from Josh Hewitt. They're going to go wheel to wheel for the next corner. Slight contact between them. And Josh, thankfully, decides to back out. It's not really a corner you want to see people go wheel to wheel at. But Josh is all over the back of Sam, who's really struggling, holding up the pack tremendously. As you can see all in one image there, how many cars are in this train. Josh Hewitt diving left and right, trying to make a way through. But he's probably, the smart thing is to wait for the straight. Make slight contact with Sam, but at the moment, all the way down to 7th, it seems. That's the fight as Francis and Frosty are fighting. So close to Francis getting spun there, but he's got people behind him as Ridian dives his way past Chubster. And we'll look to the front then. Can Josh Hewitt with the DRS get ahead of Sam? Now he's using his overtake to stay ahead, and Josh in medium will look to stay behind unless he's going for it, which he won't. So they stay in single file at the moment. And yeah, Frosty has lost DRS. So it's the top 7. Well, more like 2nd to 7th. Fighting it out. And Josh Hewitt once again all over the back of Sam. We see Ridian making more moves ahead of Christian now. And we see Yonder getting past Enric, who's off into the gravel. So I don't know if he got shoved off there or made a mistake. But now that's Enric dropping down towards the end of the top 10. Christian gets hit from the back of Chubster a bit. And Ridian and Enric wheel to wheel for P9. Who's going to yield? Enric is slightly ahead. Ridian's on the grass around the outside. They do go wheel to wheel because of that. And Enric stays in front. So Josh Hewitt with the DRS. Sam being slow. So Josh goes to the inside to try and take the move. And Sam might have a switchback, but he'll definitely try and get him on the straight. Enric and Ridian fighting again. So are Chubster and Christian. Wheel to wheel for all 4 of them. And it's so close to contact. Christian barely leaves Chubster enough room, but stays in front. So Ridian now in front of Enric. And here we go then. Josh Hewitt is going to be under massive amounts of pressure. Sam weaving left, right, has now gone to the inside to take back second. We see Bram watching this. So with drifting, just about avoids the rear. We see Chubster. And Christian, I think Christian's just hit Chubster into Enric there. Mess is breaking up. Luckily, no one spins. But they're all getting a bit too close for comfort here. Oh, and losing it. Christian. That's going to allow Eggy to get the momentum on him now. So Christian just making a few mistakes there in the first sector. And they're all getting held up a bit by Francis. And Christian and Thieves now swapping. So Thieves trying to get past the McLaren as well. Christian penalty. Slight contact with Thieves. It's been a pretty bad few laps for the McLaren. Started 8th, now 14th. 3-second lead now for Stelios ahead of Sam. Josh staying behind this time. Bram looking to the inside. They're really holding one another up and letting Stelios absolutely fly away with this at the moment. 5-car battle. 5 constructors. I bet Josh is fuming at the moment with how slow Sam is seeming. It's now 4 seconds. I don't know what Sam's playing at. Or if he generally just doesn't have the pace or there's an issue. Whatever the case, Josh Hewitt is definitely going to fly past him now. Using his overtake. Sam goes a bit defensive. Here comes Bramley at Lang to make it 3 wide. And could he get the pair of them on the softs? Wheel to wheel between Josh and Bram and Josh. But Bram has got the move ahead of the pair of them. And drifting now gets past Sam as well, who's dropped from 2nd down to 5th. But he's coming back at drifting. Slight contact between the two. The 2 constructors in the top 2. Sam versus drifting. Sam to the inside line. Drifting goes a tad wider and loses the place. So Sam gets at least back into 4th. And yeah, of course, that 5-car battle, 6-car battle has now turned into a 5-car battle. So, out of it all, Bram made a double overtake there. Very nice move from the Williams to get himself up in a second. 3.7 seconds to Stelios. 1 safety car and it's all gone. Bram makes a mistake, then goes onto the gravel. And Josh trying to go around the outside. Bram still keeps his nose in. And this is, well, in terms of battling, it's great. In terms of helping one another to close in on Stelios, it's awful. So Josh back in front again. Della with a 3-second. And Thies fighting Christian again. Those two have lost a bit of time to this train, up to Ridian and Chubster, who've got ahead of Francis now. So Bram with not that much battery to play with. Sam in hot lap. Josh in medium. Can Sam make a double overtake now? He's going to the left of Bram. Josh closes him off. And Bram will stay in front, but Sam's going to hang it around the outside. Slight contact between them. And drifting is now sideways. The championship leader has now been dropped from that train. And now he's going to find himself at the front of a new one. Yeah, 3 big names now in 7th, 8th and 9th. As Francis looks to be holding up at the back. Enric once again going off there. And now Eggy has passed his teammate into the top 10. Battles everywhere you look. And I'm going to guess one of Stelios' mates, considering they start with the same thing, has joined for some reason. What do you call it? Adam said sorry for that turn 1. So, unless... Oh, it was Bram and Josh are fighting. I was going to say, unless Adam's maybe, like, just gone straight on at turn 1 and taken, I'm going to guess these with him. And the game, for some reason, disqualified him for that. Even though that would only be like a 10-second at most. Oh, well, game's the game. I generally don't know what happened. But at the moment, I know what's going to happen. Josh Hewitt gaining on Bramley at Lang. Not really using much battery, but he's got the slipstream, he's got the DRS, he's got P2 now, as it's 3 wide, nearly 4 wide, into turn 1. Bram, Sam and Josh, how did they not all collide? Whatever the case, it's now Josh from Sam, now Bram down to 4th. That was so close to Bram, swiping out Josh as he's under pressure from Yonder now, who's up to P4. As Frosty Life out of all this has caught the train, he went a bit under the radar, as Sam L, for the 2nd race in a row, has spun. And that did look like it was on his own, like last week. But, again, didn't really catch it fully. And now JJ Francis getting ahead of Sam. He's going to use the ghosting to his advantage to get back in front. So it's another comeback drive for the Ferrari. And Frosty Life, all of a sudden, is ahead of the pack and joined the fight for 2nd. And now the gap has gone up to 5 seconds to the lead. Yeah, right. Viewing experience to be peaked. Sure. JJ Francis gets a 3-second time penalty. Well, 7 laps in now. And, yeah, it's been battles galore. Absolute cinema. For, well, at least P2. Stelios would think he's just on his own at the moment. That is the gap into turn 1. And Josh Hewitt, at the moment, has a big enough gap to stay in 2nd. Bram, Yonder, and Frosty now fighting. Yonder stays in 4th. Obviously, a podium to his name in Saudi. Frosty, who hasn't really had that many points this season. Probably the highlight for him so far. But he's sliding. Those softs are really falling off after only 8 laps of work. Chubster out of it all, fighting with Ridian. They're slowly closing in as well. And Sam's going to join this pack as well as he fights Eggy for 9th. So yeah, these 3, 2 seconds to the train in front. Obviously, Stelios is on the softs, which has allowed him to have a gap. But of what was nearly 5 seconds has gone down to 4.2 now. Josh Hewitt getting a move on with it. And with the softs starting to die off. And he's got someone in front and behind. You can see the difference that Josh has nearly got Bram outside of a 2nd. Bram's still with the DRS to close it slightly. But Josh Hewitt, if he can somehow close that gap to Stelios and fight him for the win, what an effort he would have put in to do that, as it's now nearly under 4 seconds. And Bramley at Lang does not have the DRS, but they are a bit more spaced out, as you can see, throughout the top 5. As for after the top 5, Chubster is going to come under big pressure from Ridian and drifting. And Samuel as well from the Mercedes of Eggy and Enric, who's trying to come back through. So Sam, bit of a sitting duck at the moment. And will lose 2 places up in front. No swaps. Well, Chubster lost a few places. But Enric makes a double overtake there then. Very nice from the Red Bull. Eggy stays where he is. Sam drops to 11th. Under pressure. Putting pressure on Eggy, but loses the rear slightly. So Ridian's now 6th, drifting 7th, Chubster 8th. They're working well as a 3-car train to close in on the 4-car train. Well, that's now a 3 because Josh Hewitt is flying on his race pace with those mediums. Has left Bram in the dust and is closing in on that gap to Stelios. Big gaps gained as... I don't know. But yeah, this is very interesting. The pit window is going to be opening soon for these guys as well. And Bram, on those softs, really struggling. And looks like Yonder's now going to get up into the podium. As you can see, Frosty's also struggling on those softs, as the three behind him are catching. First, third and fifth, who started on the softs, we're now seeing, after 10 laps, really starting to fall off now, as Frosty's already into the pit lane. So, looks like Yonder, with hot lap, with DRS, gets up into third now, ahead of Bram. The two Williams, now the next two cars together on the track. And Ridian will definitely be closing down on his teammate. He's done some great work so far this race, up 5 places. Sam still fighting with these two. Hasn't made any gains yet. He's in hot lap, he's gaining on Eggy, as Dello is in front of Frosty, who exits the pit lane on the hard compound tyres. So he's gone soft hard. So it looks like the rest should be doing that as well. Medium hard, soft hard, etc. Gap's now 3 seconds between Stelios and Josh. Obviously, Stelios will pit first before Josh slides into turn 9. So Stelios will pit, maybe gain a bit more of a gap, and then Josh looks like he has the better race pace. So you never know, especially if Stelios gets a 3 second. So, about to start lap 11, a third of the way in. Stelios staying out again. Will Bram pit? No, he'll keep with Yonder. Scotty just missed out on DRS. And looks clear enough of drifting to stay in 5th. 3 cars in the background in front of these 3. And looks like they're all going to stay where they are. Enric blasting everything to stay in front. And that's probably a warning for Sam. One sec. JJ Francis is messaging me for some reason instead of actually racing. Anyway, Christian goes off there in the background. Adam still on those hard compound tyres. A third of the way in. Dello pits. No sort of safety car VSC at the moment. The gap was 3 seconds. It's now 2.3. Stelios can see Josh in his mirrors probably now. 3 second gap to Yonder. And then there is a huge train now. Bram and his teammate. So Scotty goes to the inside to get past Bram. And drifting to the inside as well. Tags the Williams together. And drifting gets past the pair of them. Very aggressive move from drifting. Scotty still fighting with him though. Opportunistic from Alex. But Ridian stays in front. And that's caused Bram to go wide as well. Who decides to pit, which is fair. Chubster, watch that all unfold. Drifting slides out the last corner. 2 seconds now the gap. Those softs really falling off for Stelios. Considering he's probably the last one to pit who started on the softs. Drifting doesn't get Ridian again, so Ridian up to 4th. And we'll see where Bram exits out then, in contrast to Frosty Life, who's on the start-finish straight now. Bram puts the hard compound tyres on as well. Frosty flies past, should be ahead of Bram, and it is. The gap doesn't seem too big, actually. Only about a second. So good work from Frosty. 1.4 now. Josh Hewitt absolutely flying. He loves this track. He's had such a good record here in the past. And he's loving it at the moment. Those mediums still got a lot of life in them. So Ridian, Drifting and Chubster 2.5 seconds off Yonder now is their next target. 1.1 seconds. Stelios is on 100% battery. Remember, he had wheel issues in Imola last time out. Will he decide to pit now? He stays out again. But Josh actually pits first. He's going for the undercut. Don't know what Stelios has done. He should have pitted earlier, probably. Josh Hewitt, unless there's a safety car, is definitely going to probably undercut Stelios to take the lead. So we see Drifting gaining, using every bit of battery he has left. Ridian goes defensive to the inside. Drifting to the inside. Slight bit of contact. Wheel banging. And Alex has got the move. But Ridian tries to go around the outside. Makes contact with Alex. That was definitely on Ridian that time. And loses all his hard work. So Drifting kept his nose in. And Chubster off track is ahead now of the Aston Martin. Don't know what happened there. But Enric out of all this and Eggy have caught up. And is Chubster trying to get the place back? Not sure if he got an illegal. You can see Sam there in the background has also lost a bit of ground because he was on the back of Eggy, remember. And I know Drifting's ill, but Yeah. Well, that turn one at least wasn't his fault. He just kept his line. Ridian tried to hang it around the outside. That wheel contact at least sent Ridian down the order. So Chubster out of it all has made up a lot of ground from starting P9. Definitely put it to Pens now. We've got 4 people on Pens. Stelios finally into the pit lane. Yonder will take the lead of the Grand Prix. And Chubster, Drifting, and Enric all decide to pit. That was so close to the wall for the Red Bull. And Sam stays out. Ridian stays out. Eggy stays out. So, big question. Stelios is on the mediums. He's going soft medium. Interesting. Josh will cross the start-finish line. Stelios will exit the pit lane. Still in front of the Sauber. So Josh tried to push, but Stelios is still in front and on the mediums. Very interesting, but you can obviously see the gap is under a second. So Josh did gain a second with his undercut. And they're coming up to Adam, who's yet to pit on the hards. So if Stelios can catch him on that DRS straight in the middle of the lap, that would help him. But it depends on these next few corners how much he's going to get held up from Adam. Will he go for the move to the inside? He's going to try it, but backs off. So Josh allows himself to close a bit more. Stelios has got to make those tyres last 19 laps. That's going to be a tall order. And Josh is all over the back of Stelios. He'll try the inside. It gets blocked. He'll try the outside. And he's going to brake later and go round the outside for the potential win of the race. But Stelios hangs on for now. And it looks like the pair of them are going to fly past Adam if he stays out anymore. JJ Francis with another time penalty. Sam into the pit lane. We'll look back to Stelios versus Josh. They've both got DRS. Stelios has a full battery to play with. And Adam is going to be a sitting duck here. As Josh will try and blast. Will he even get Adam at the end of this straight? As Stelios gets the place. There we go. Josh to the inside. Gets past Adam. But Adam hangs it around the outside a bit. And there's close to contact. And Adam actually spins Josh slightly there. And that's lost Josh a heap of time. So Adam, who really should have backed off there, kept his nose in and collided with Josh. We have a yellow. At the back, it's the Red Bull of Thieves. And Chubster, who have had an incident there and have spun down the order. So Chubster, who exited the pit lane, I believe, has now had an incident. We can see Ferrari, Red Bull, all outside the points. Drifting pitted, Bram pitted. Frosty, after all that, is now ahead of them. But there's a 5-second gap. Josh Hewitt is going to be fuming at that incident with Adam. Really unfortunate, and that has lost him a lot of time. But still a long way to go, and he can probably gain on Stelios enough there to make sure it didn't make too much of a difference. But Stelios is going to get another helping hand here of DRS on JJ Francis. Yonder, Eggy, and Ridian all pit now. 16 laps in. They'll do the next 17 on the hard compound tyres. JJ Francis loses the lead to Stelios. These guys really want to go defensive as there's a yellow for the Ferrari. And is that Sam again? Oh, that might be the first claim of... well, yeah, to be fair, Thieves didn't know if he was going to ghost there or not. That might be the first claim of that glitch on the curb for Sam. But yeah, exiting the pit lane. There's Ridian. There's Enric. There's Eggy. There is Drifting. And there is Yonder in front of them all still. So Yonder's still third. And yeah, Hewitt now needs to try and gain DRS on Francis. But he's 1.3 off at the moment. JJ Francis obviously hasn't stopped yet. Neither has Adam. That's it so far. Stelios proving to have good pace on those mediums, but how long can he take them? Because when the gap starts to go down, when they're in free air between Josh and Stelios, that will be when the advantage swings to the Sauber. And does Francis decide to pit this lap? No, he stays out again, so Josh Hewitt is definitely going to get past him here. Battery on, DRS on. JJ Francis still going defensive for some reason. But now it looks like Josh has the straight line speed to stay ahead. And Adam still behind as well. JJ Francis then has been overtaken. Josh Hewitt then up into second where he was. The gap, 2.2 seconds as we pass the halfway mark. We've only lost one driver who was disqualified at the very start. Still don't know why really. But now Josh begins his charge back to gain on Stelios for the win. These two have already won a race this season, one each, both looking for their second. Yonder under pressure from Bram, who's trying to get this podium. Frosty Life also, but with a time penalty. It's going to hinder him. Drifting 3 seconds, a bit on his own at the moment. Enric spaced out as well, but he's got Eggy and Ridian behind him, who are going to be closing in. It's been a disaster for Ferrari at the moment, who are 12th and 13th. Chubb's had a spin. Sam had 2 spins. And Thies on the back, who started at the back, is now watching both of them as Chubster goes wide there, and Sam gaining on his teammate. Will go to the inside. How much will Chubster fight it? Not at all. And Sam will get ahead. They've got to work together if they want to close in that 5-second gap they have to close it, to gain on the cars in front. And Adam now gets ahead of JJ Francis, who's going really defensive. Kind of unnecessary, but anyway. It's all clean at the moment. So Adam into third. Yet to pit. Remember, he spun at the start, I think. Or at least lost a lot of ground. 2 Ferraris swap again. Ridian and Eggy swap again. Looks all fine. To the inside, Thies. Spins off. Well, I only caught the end of that, but it looked like Thies may have sent it. And Bram and Yonder fighting. Wheel to wheel through turn 5. Bram round the outside. Gets in front of Yonder. What a great move from him. If he managed to hold that off round the outside. So yeah, he's up into net third. Gap staying a bit constant between the top 2. Obviously, Stelios still going to have a bit more of an advantage. Fastest lap. Yeah, 4 tenths. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Adam does. Will he go onto the mediums or the softs? How quickly will Bram catch these lot? Obviously, Bram did pit a bit earlier because he was on the softs, so his hards are going to wear out a bit more. But they are on the hards. They can go a long time. Gap staying constant from Frosty to Drifting. Drifting to Enric. Still under pressure from Ridian and Eggy. The 2 Ferraris now on their own. As Yonder gets back ahead of Drifting. Back ahead of Bram, should I say. And that should be a fine move, which it is. Gap going up slightly now between the top 2. Adam and Francis still staying out for some reason. 2 Ferraris swap into turn 1. They know there's at least 2 people in front of them who are yet to pit, so that can promote them to 10th and 11th as Christian and Thies fight for P14. It's been a bit of an unfortunate race for Dello. Lap 19 then, Stelios leads by 2.6 seconds. He's increased the gap from 4 tenths to when Josh Hewitt got up into second. And obviously Josh lost a good over 1 to 1.5 seconds fighting with Adam at turn 1 and 2. And JJ Francis, nearly 20 laps done on those mediums. He's eventually got a pit soon. And yet he's still staying out. So this is going to prove a problem for Yonder, Bram and Frosty whenever they catch him. And now Bram is in the slipstream of Yonder, who's using his overtake to stay in front because he'll catch Francis with the DRS at the middle of the lap. Or he may even catch him even sooner than that. Look how much he's gaining in the braking. Enric gets past Ridian for P7 essentially, but gets a 3-second time penalty. The 2 Ferraris swap. They're just trying to close in, but it's not really working as the 3 in front of them are also in a DRS train. Thies gets past Christian to the inside, close to contact, but Thies gets the move done. And now Bram gets past Yonder because they're getting held up by Francis, I believe. So now Bram is going to be on the back of Francis, who we've seen can go very defensive, at least on the start-finish straight. What about the middle one? Bram's gaining so much on Francis through the straight and loses the rear because of it, and is going to lose 2 places. But fair enough to him. He kept the car in control, and it's not in the wall, at least. So now Francis will be under pressure from Yonder. And they really got to watch their braking here, because the amount of time they gain through corners is crazy. As Enric gets past Ridian, who's dropped down behind the pair of them. And now Francis is going to come under big pressure from Yonder. And Frosty Life could see himself with a double overtake here, using his battery to blast past the Mercedes. And what about Bram? He's still behind at the moment. And JJ Francis does decide to back off in the end. Fair enough. as Yonder ahead of Frosty, and Bram still got to try and make his way past the Mercedes. He's going to go round the outside. He's just kept on track. What a nice move from Bram. And yeah, he gets it done as Frosty goes a bit deep there. But yeah, even on 20 lap old tyres, that was very committed from the Williams to go round his outside. You can just see the difference between the pair. Frosty struggling a little bit there. Yonder, 2.5 seconds off Adam. The gap going down a tiny bit now between Josh and Stelios. Drifting 1.7. I wouldn't discount him out of this as well. Championship leader is driving very fine at the moment. Dello has retired in the pit lane, unfortunately. That's fair enough. So the Ferraris have gained a whole second on the 3 cars in front of them. Don't know what happened to Ridian at the corner they're entering now on the last lap. So Yonder should be far enough ahead of Frosty for any sort of move. Bram on 50%, using a bit of battery. As there's Dello's car just pulling off. As here we go, drifting, fighting away with JJ Francis. Good reaction time from the Aston Martin. Francis still hanging it around the outside for some reason, but backs off. 22 laps on those mediums. Unless he's pitting this lap for softs. Either way, it's not really a great strategy. The pit lane is one of the longest ones, as there's a yellow for, I think that's just Dello still. The 2 Ferraris close to one another. This really isn't helping their battling. But Sam in front of Chubster still. Christian and Thies, I think, may have just had an incident as well. As going off there, Sam L. Again. Struggling at turn 5. It's been a race to forget at the moment for the Ferraris, as we're 2/3 of the way in. And yes, some drivers out of position here. Some way up higher than usual. Yonder, who got his first podium in Saudi a couple of weeks back. Looking at the moment for a net P3. Adam finally goes into the pit lane. It'll be interesting to see if he goes on the mediums or the softs. And it looks like Yonder's got Frosty outside of a second. He does. So that allows Bram to now get up into 4th. And what about Francis? Still staying out. And then, whoa! Big crash between Enric and Francis there. And Enric's out of the race. And that is a safety car. So JJ Francis always moving to the right on the inside line on the straight. So Enric decided to switch to the inside. Contact. And that has left Enric spinning and out of the race. Last week's race winner has crashed. And this really does bring Josh back into play. It brings Yonder and the rest back into play as well. And Stelios, Bram and Frosty, who started on the soft compound tyres, I'm not sure if they have any more. But people like Yonder and Josh and Drifting surely will have one more set. So, big question now, what do they pit onto? Stelios. Will be very interesting now. Right, top 2 are in. Looks like it's a no-brainer to pit, but Bramnick Lang decides he's going to stay out. Big key is, what does Stelios pit onto? He does pit onto softs. Did he have a new set? He did. Fair enough. So Josh pits onto softs. Yonder onto the mediums. I'll just change it to tyres. There we go. Right, Yonder decides to pit for mediums then. Ridian onto the softs as well. Frosty on the mediums. It's a vast array of softs and mediums at the moment. They knew with how quick the softs fell off. After 10 laps. Whoa. Hope everything went well there. Sometimes the safety car at turn 4 does cause that kind of stuff. So Bram slowed down, then Stelios, then Josh. I hope Stelios' wing is fine. It looks fine. So yeah, hopefully that was just a quick miss. Anyway, everyone's pitted for new tyres. Besides Bram. And yeah, you can see it's a change from softs to mediums throughout the field. Josh seems more annoyed with the safety car, which is fair. Well, Bram's saying defensive masterclass incoming. We've seen one famous restart here at Spain with Bram, but that was when the old chicane was there and he made contact with his teammate. Francis in again. Change of wing. Putting on a new set of softs. So right, there's 3 people with penalties. Francis, Christian and Frosty Life. After all that, even though Adam did pit, then the safety car came out. Adam is now 6th. I think that should deserve a bit of recognition, considering he started 11th, was running down in 15th at one point, after spinning, I think. And is now finding himself a Haas 5 and 6. So very good stuff from both Haas's, really. Right then, you join us on lap 25. Everyone has caught the pack apart from the Mercedes. Oh wait, I didn't even realise. JJ Francis retired in the pit lane, I think. Actually, maybe not. Maybe he retired on track because that car seems way too far from the pit lane. Oh well, we'll find out after. He probably retired on track, but... Then there were 13. Adam got disqualified at turn 1. Dello retired just past the halfway mark in the pit lane. Enric crashed on the straight, and JJ Francis has just retired. Then there were 13. They all bunch up. A vast array of mediums and softs throughout the field. We have 8 laps to go then. Bram's going to lead this restart on really old hards, and he's going to get absolutely munched by the rest. And we'll see when he goes into the final corner. Stelios, ready to pounce, has been leading this whole Grand Prix. Now he's got pressure from Josh Hewitt and Yonder and everyone else behind, and Bram is going to wait right up until the line then to go, keeping it very constant at 59 miles an hour, and he's going to go right at the end of the lap, and he goes now, and Josh Hewitt got the jump on the straight, and now they're going to go wheel to wheel, the 2 net leaders for the race win. Josh Hewitt versus Stelios into turn 1. Stelios has the slipstream of Bram to the inside. Stelios leaves Josh enough room, so close to contact. Stelios stays in front of Josh. And then Yonder, Adam, as dropping down the order already. Frosty Life has dropped to P10. Sam making his way through on the softs, fighting away with Eggy. And Josh trying to have another look at Stelios. Can't quite get past. Stelios going to have so much more traction than Bram on the softs. Wheel to wheel between them. Stelios is going to go clean around the outside of Bram to take back the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix, and Josh Hewitt as well gets past. That was crucial for the Williams driver as Chubster now drops down to last. He's had a spin. Even more incidents throughout the field. The top 2 are now going to streak away as Bram looks to hold up the rest. Yonder all over the back of Bram, looking to the inside. Bram breaks later, and round the outside once again. There's contact with Ridian at that corner, and that's lost him a place to Adam, and drifting has gone round as well. Spins and incidents galore here. Sam also has dropped down. Ferrari not having a good run of form in this race. So the top 2, like it was, are on their own. Josh versus Stelios. And this is a great angle until it cuts away. To the inside, 3 wide in the background. Josh doesn't quite get the move on Stelios. Yonder still holds on ahead of Bram. Adam round the outside. Close to contact there is a bit. And Adam's now 4th. Thieves retires in the pit lane. Adam now finds himself 4th. Has finished, 10th and 9th so far in his 2 races in Tier 2. As Josh Hewitt takes the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix into Turn 4. So for the first time, he leads then ahead of Stelios, who's definitely going to keep with him. Because Josh is obviously less than a second ahead. And Yonder, 1.1 behind on the mediums. Adam on the softs. Bram is just going to fall even further down. And he's got his teammate now behind him. So drifting, big mistake there. I don't know if it was just him or... So it seemed like JJ Francis had rear wing damage as we have a yellow. Oh, it's just these. So Adam now gets onto the podium. P3 for the Haas as the 2 Williams swap. Ridian to the inside. Christian, and second time penalty. Yonder goes off there, loses the rear. And that's going to allow Ridian to close in as Adam is off onto the curb and has spun around. And that's going to drop him all the way down to last, unfortunately. Here comes Stelios back for more. Action everywhere you look. Drifting, fastest lap of the race as Stelios back into the lead. And now we see Ridian going for a second podium in a row to the inside. Lost some ground early on, but now is third ahead of Yonder. Bram still keeping it in fifth somehow. Loses the rear slightly. Eggy is now into the top 5. And we see Frosty Life, who dropped down to 10th, is now up in a 6th. So a few laps ago, you have an incident. A few laps later, you could be right up there again. And yeah, it's all manic and crazy and chaotic, and they're all just about facing forward. And I'm sure there's going to be a few penalties by the end, which will change up the order because it's all a close grid after the safety car. But these two are definitely going to fight for the win. 3 seconds ahead of the rest. So they've had one swap. Stelios once again stays in front. Stelios already has experience on the softs like he did in the first stint. But Josh Hewitt is giving it absolutely everything. And Ridian wants a second podium in a row. And he's actually pulling away from Yonder a bit here. Was the mediums the wrong choice, or will it come back to help him by the end in the last few laps where the softs could drop off? He's got Eggy behind him, the rear gunner, outscoring Drifting at the moment, who's under pressure from Sam L. Looking further to the front. Josh Hewitt, another swap to the inside. Now takes back the lead into turn 1. The 2 race leaders flying away. Ridian still holds 3rd. Yonder still 4th. Eggy 5th. Frosty 6th. Bram on those hards. He can probably just hold on to a point here because he's going to be under big pressure from Drifting and going to lose DRS soon to Frosty. There it is. Christian's still hanging on, but it looks like Chubb's still getting the points because of those pens. Of course, Frosty has that 3-second penalty, which will help Drifting as well. A net 6th is on the cards here for him. So Eggy, trailing by 9 points in the championship to Drifting, will close it to 7 at the moment, unless he can get past Yonder. It's just been a bit quiet all race from the Mercedes, looming around the top 10. Bram now gets a penalty anyway. Christian gets a 3rd pen. But now Eggy finds himself with a chance of 4th. And Stelios will probably be looking to get Josh. It's all going to be about who heads into the final lap 2nd, really. So let's say this was the final lap. Stelios would definitely be looking to win the race because he would blast everything with the DRS and hold on. But unless Josh can have a full battery and stay ahead, then that might not be the case. Stelios to the inside then, retakes the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix. Josh is still going to hang it around the outside there. He wants a bit of a battle, and he has stayed in the lead. So that is exactly what he needs to do if he is the one leading heading into the last lap. Drifting drops down the order. Big crash between Sam L and Drifting. Sam L is out of the race, and that is a VSC. So Drifting, the championship leader, drops to 11th. Sam is out. Big crash at the back. And we get even more drama. Wow. So really unfortunate for Sam, who took pole. Has had about 3 spins in total. They must have connected with Drifting, the championship leader. And yeah, VSC to slow things down. No one gets a drive through. It's over. There'll be 3 laps of racing. Josh Hewitt has a second advantage on Stelios. He caught him napping a little bit there and perfected the restart. Ridian's only even 1.7 behind. Stelios might... Oh, Christian's gone off there with yellows. Don't know why. Does Stelios have DRS? He does not. 3 to go then, and Josh Hewitt has played every single card possible to win this Grand Prix for the 2nd time this season, and he's definitely fighting for it, as Yonder also fighting to get back in the 3rd ahead of Ridian and Eggy. Frosty not too far away, could still hold on to 6th here because Chubster is over 3 seconds behind. Bram out of this somehow is still 7th, and Drifting, yeah, he can't really pit, he just has to try and stick with to get a point. He can probably stick within 9 seconds of Christian to get P10. Sam looks like it might have been Drifting's fault as well. So we'll have to look into that after the race. Stelios still with more battery, and he's gained to within 7/10. This is not over yet. This DRS here is really going to help him as long as along with Josh making a little mistake there. So Stelios, it's still not over for him to fight for the win. Josh Hewitt, who won the Bahrain Grand Prix 2 weeks ago. Stelios, who won the Chinese Grand Prix 4 weeks ago. Are looking 1 or 2 fortnights later as Drifting is out. He left the session. Don't know if that was him or the game. But that is the championship leader out of the race. And then there were 10. These 10 are all going to score points. Stelios is staying behind Josh on the penultimate lap. He knows because of the next lap is when he can take the lead of the Grand Prix on 100% battery. They're both looking for the win. And Yonder's going to close in as well. It's going to be so close between them all as Christian gets past Adam. So Eggy, if he finishes 5th, Eggy could take the lead of the championship by 1 point ahead of drifting. Oh, everything happening at the Spanish Grand Prix. And who's going to win it? Josh Hewitt or Stelios? Stelios has led for most of it. Josh Hewitt has fought with every single opportunity he's been given in the Sauber. And will he have enough straight line speed and integrity to hold it into turn 1? Just because Stelios has the DRS doesn't mean Josh can still defend and maybe hang it around the outside. He's slowing down. They're playing DRS chicken. You can see the gap going from 1.8 to 1.3 with Yonder, the 2 leaders. Here we go then. Last lap. Can Stelios take it away from Josh Hewitt? Josh has a big enough slide at the front. And we're on to the final lap then. Stelios has to blast everything to try and get Josh Hewitt. He's gaining in the slipstream. Josh goes defensive. Stelios will fly past the Sauber. Stelios into the lead on the final lap as Yonder versus Ridian for P3. Bit of contact. Ridian now up to 3rd. Slides. And now Eggy could get on the mix as well. Sliding once again. Ridian loses traction. And now he loses P3 to Yonder, who's back in front. So Yonder still on the podium. Josh Hewitt has 1 chance into this next DRS zone. And that's a 3-second time penalty for Josh Hewitt. We caught one before the final corner on the last lap. And it looked like a warning. Josh Hewitt has pushed too hard. And now he might not even end up on the podium. Eggy could generally get 4th here as well. It's going to be so tight between Ridian and Yonder as well. Josh still going for it on Stelios, who knows he doesn't really have to fight as much. Josh braking late, round the outside. Stelios still holds on. And Eggy ahead of Yonder now, wheel to wheel between the two. Ridian looks to be 3rd, and it might be a net 2nd. Eggy's trying to go for the podium here. And he does get it, but Yonder's still around the outside. It's going to be so close to the end. Eggy versus Yonder, round the final couple corners. Stelios is going to win the Spanish Grand Prix. Ridian is going to get P2, and across the line, Eggy is your new championship leader. And Josh just hung on to the podium. Eggy 4th, Yonder 5th, Frosty 6th, Chubster 7th, Bram 8th, Adam will be 9th, Christian 10th. Wow. Wow. So if it wasn't for all that battling between Yonder and Eggy right at the end there, they could have got 3rd and maybe 4th, but Josh just hung on to 3rd somehow. Wow, I've never seen that one before. Stelios with a cape. And he will be very happy indeed. The 2nd driver to win more than 1 race this season. And Josh Hewitt gave it his all for the win. Pushed a bit too hard. Lost out on 2nd. 3 points to Ridian. So he drops to 3rd. Ridian must be loving it right now. 3rd and 2nd in the last 2 races. And fastest lap point as well for Stelios. But again, we don't give points for fastest laps now. But yeah, there we go. Another P5 for Yonder. Eggy with 12 points to his name. He was 9 behind drifting heading in. So that will be Eggy leading the championship for the first time since the first few races he did actually in Tier 2. Where he was consistent enough with podiums to lead the standings for a race or 2. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to get all this. Ah, shit. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of penalties post-race, which might change the order. It's weird. I saw heading into the last corner on the penultimate lap, Josh Hewitt go off the track to the left on the curb. And then he took the inside curb, which lost him the rear a bit. So that was a warning. He must have got 1 warning in the first 31 laps. Because then he gave it everything. to try and get himself a good launch, and he got a 3-second time penalty for it, and with it lost 3 points. Could have been even more. If anything, he should be happy that he still got third because of that penalty. Anyway, Stelios, Ridian, and Josh.
If I do a Discord call.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't actually recall if I interviewed Stelios when he won China. What Discord do I have to join? Oh, wait, this one. Wait, so explain to me again. What's going on? Okay. Alright, okay, cool. Don't know if Stelios is joining. Just give me a sec.
Sorry. So you're gonna start with Josh, or?
Yeah, I was just talking to Stelios. So it looks like he won't be able to join us. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Right. So well done to Stelios. Amazing drive from him. Led for most of the race. It was going to be close if there was no safety car. Josh could have closed in. Probably would have. And it would have been a great fight. Nonetheless, there were DRS games played. And eventually one was going to win. And it was Stelios who came out on top. As well as Josh got the 3-second time penalty at the end. So it was all null and void with a few corners to go. Anyway, moving on to P2. Ridian, you've done it again.
Yep.
But this time you did start in the top 10, right?
Oh, I did start. I think. Yeah, I was like just about in the top 10.
And then start happened. You, from what I recall, didn't have the greatest start. You were looming around the top 10 area-ish, 11th, 12th.
I had
10th.
a good getaway, but then I think it was Christian, I think his name was, just
Christian.
like ran me off turn 2. So I lost all my places. And then I got fucked over by the exact same game glitch 3 times. where you hit the
Oh
side of a
right.
wheel and your car spins. Happened to me three
Yeah.
times.
So I wanted to mention that. So you were fighting with others. Your train was doing pretty well, and then there were two instances I remember. This I'll start off with the one that happened after the other one. Into
Mm.
turn one, you were fighting drifting, and I think you
That
were the one
was yeah,
going around the outside of drifting. Drifting really didn't do anything wrong. You hit him and yeah, lost places
yeah. That was
unfortunately.
the like just one of those glitched things.
Yeah,
I
and
was
the other
actually
one though was
which
the middle, the DRS straight in the middle of the lap.
yeah.
You, Bram, and drifting just send it on the pair of you.
Yeah,
Or,
drifting just tried making it free wide by going onto the grass when Brown was letting me past.
yeah, so he hit you, which sent Bram wide, and yet you still somehow managed to stay in front, which was good.
Mm.
You made some really nice moves. I can't really think of any other incident. There were a lot of incidents in that race, to
Yeah,
be fair.
I kept my nose clean
Actually,
for the fair of
your
it.
rear end. What happened on the last lap or last two laps?
Yeah,
Your rear
bro,
end was
brother,
everywhere.
like my tires just about died, and I was holding on to them for dear life. Like
Oh,
just that time when they're hitting like 110-ish degrees, they were getting too
it
warm.
looked like you'd thrown away the podium because Yonda got back ahead.
Yeah,
But
I don't
then,
know how,
yeah.
but I managed to like just stick it through and just keep on him.
And then what was your reaction to seeing Josh get a 3 second?
He was in the pie with me, so I think I can get his reaction.
Oh,
Yeah,
anyway,
quite a
it's a
lot of swearing.
P2. Another brilliant drive from you to
Yeah.
get back-to-back podiums,
I know I said I'd give
reeling
Josh,
you in
try and get
closer.
Josh an interview too, but I've got to leave after this, so I kind of
Yeah,
in a
right,
rush.
no worries. William. All right. So is Josh there? You said.
No, I had to leave the call. I was in a rush. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Mm.
I'll join the Discord and talk to him anyway. Okay, so well done, Riddian.
Lovely.
And on to Canada we go.
Yeah.
Last question. Yeah. Any thoughts on Canada?
Well, I don't really mind it. You know, I haven't done a league race in Canada since literally EXFL Tier 2 Season 2.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes then. Hopefully you can carry up this momentum,
Yeah.
and we'll see you next week then.
The bread must rise in the Colorado.
Yep. Right. Where is it? I just saw it a minute ago. Uh, right, we'll try that instead. There we go. You there, Josh? Yeah, I can hear you. Don't know if you are able to include your audio or not. Yeah, you're up. Alright, right, there we go. Right, Josh. Tricky one, that one. Still podium at least. End of the day, you got some good points. You started third. It was really close in qualifying between you, Stelios, and Sam. Obviously, a lot of squabbling for second. Let Stelios get away, but once you were in second, you managed to have some great pace to gain on Stelios's dying softs. Then you obviously pitted. You obviously got involved with Adam a bit, which lost you a bit of time, and it looked like you were going to gain on Stelios to the end. Then there was a safety car, obviously, and you fought it out very nice and fairly with Stelios for the win. Bit of DRS games here and there, and then, am I right in saying the last corner of the penultimate lap, you got a warning? You went off to the left a bit, and then obviously the last lap, we caught you. Where did you get your first warning? Oh, okay, but just take us through the race from your perspective. How was it? Yeah, it was great. Yeah, you made some. Instead of with five whatever laps to go, instead of just swapping once every lap at turn one, there was one lap where you held it around the outside brilliantly to keep hold of the lead. Yeah, you had obviously you were leading heading into the last lap, which obviously is not usually the case. But then you had one chance maybe with the DRS in the middle of the lap, but yeah, you may have just pushed a bit too hard. Yeah, at turn five. It was looking, to be honest, like you were going to drop to fifth. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that 3 second obviously did unfortunately cost you 3 points, but still another podium. Still gaining on drifting, who obviously didn't finish today. So if I'm so you're on 72, drifting on 75, Eggy on 78. Sam obviously didn't finish today. Um, drifting only got a couple points. Yeah, 70. So I think what 14 points covers the five of you. Ridian as well, also on he. Ridian is now on the points you were on before this race. So he's on 57. Stelios will be on 50. Yeah, literally, his points are just 25 in China, 25 today. That's it. He either wins or doesn't score points. Mad. Uh, yeah, there was way too much happening for me to like actually form a full sentence for anything. Was that when Stelios got him and then you got him? Maybe. He is on really old hards and you're on new softs, but fair enough. There was a really nice one that Eggy made round the outside. I think it was Eggy or Ridian. Four people, yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, thoughts on Canada next week? Yeah, in the wet, you're pretty good in. Yeah. Yep. Well, you're definitely in this fight, and it's great to see you. For those laps you were closing in from the 5 second gap to nearly a second were glorious. So you should be very happy with that. Um, in qualifying, you gave it everything, even a little bit of a toe from your teammate. Just missed out. It was really close between the three of you, which is what we want to see. And you've been driving like a million times better than last season. So very well done. So yeah, we'll see you in Canada. Yeah, saw that. Nah, he knew what games you were playing. I've played these games before. Anyway, yes, well done on today. Still another podium. I think that if I can, I'll just quickly check. I believe you were um, level with Logan for podiums. So now I think you properly hold second. Oh no, you already had that anyway. You're 26th podium. Seb, he's on 39. Well, in the 15 left, yeah, you'd need to be on the podium in 13 of them, or 14. Yeah, to be fair. Anyway, well done today. We will see you in Canada. Right, that was the Tier 2 Season X Spanish Grand Prix, round 7 of the season. I'm sure there's probably going to be a few pens to shake up the order there, but nonetheless, Stelios should definitely be the clear winner. So well done to him, well done to Ridian on second, and Joshua on third. And potentially then, I think that's a new championship leader for Eggy, and things are spicing up between the main 5 competitors for the championship.